Welcome to Time of Death. This video is for informational purposes and in no way meant to glorify or condone violence. In today's video, we'll be discussing the murder of Willie Ray Adams. Adams died on July 25, 2009 after being shot in the 700 block of East 91st Street in Green Meadows, according to LA County Coroner records. Keith Jermaine Fuller, Deshaun Combs, and Kendall Vernon Johnson were subsequently arrested and charged with the murder. The following is the evidence at trial. On July 25, 2009, defendants murdered Willie Ray Adams Jr. for selling drugs in their gang's territory. A housing development inhabited by gang members was 2 blocks north of the crime scene. Gang members had previously warned Mr. Adams not to sell drugs from his apartment. 2 witnesses to the murder were present in Mr. Adams' second-floor apartment, Glenda Atkins and Malcolm Wilson. Ms. Atkins worked the door for Mr. Adams. She was in charge of letting his customers in and out of the apartment. Ms. Atkins was 62 years old at the time of trial. The victim, Mr. Adams, had left the apartment earlier in the evening. Upon his return, defendants assaulted him and escorted him to his apartment door. Ms. Atkins heard Mr. Adams' voice at the door telling her to open it. When she did so, defendant Deshaun Combs shoved Mr. Adams into the apartment at gunpoint. Defendants Kendall Johnson and Keith Fuller followed Mr. Combs through the door. They closed the wrought iron door and locked it. One of the assailants referenced their gang. Mr. Adams had been shot and was bleeding. The first officer to arrive on the scene followed a trail of blood from the sidewalk up the stairs to Mr. Adams' apartment. All 3 defendants were armed with guns. They ordered Ms. Atkins and Mr. Wilson to lie on the floor and keep their heads down. Defendant Keith Fuller struck Ms. Atkins in the face with his gun when she looked up. He said, "Get back down." Defendants ransacked the apartment looking for drugs. Defendant Kendall Johnson took cocaine from a plate in the kitchen. Mr. Johnson's fingerprints were later found on that plate. Before he left the apartment, defendant Deshaun Combs shot and killed Mr. Adams. Defendant Combs also shot Mr. Wilson, who survived. Ms. Atkins saw the 3 men running in the direction of the housing project. The incident lasted about 7 minutes. On November 3, 2009, Detective Pantoja spoke with the victim's downstairs neighbor, Ms. Jobert. Detective Pantoja showed Ms. Jobert a photographic lineup. Ms. Jobert identified defendant Keith Fuller. She said she had seen him walking by Mr. Adams' apartment around 5:30 or 6 p.m. the evening of the murder. Mr. Fuller was looking up at Mr. Adams' apartment. She wrote walking by looking up at Mr. Adams' house at 5:30 or 6. Following the trial, defendants Kendall Vernon Johnson, Keith Jermaine Fuller, and Deshaun Combs were convicted of first-degree murder, attempted murder, first-degree burglary, home invasion robbery, including a gun and gang enhancement. Kendall Vernon Johnson was sentenced to life without the possibility of parole plus 80 years. Keith Jermaine Fuller was sentenced to life without the possibility of parole plus 68 years. Deshaun Combs was sentenced to life without the possibility of parole plus 25 years. Willie Ray Adams was 31 years old at the time of death.